Hey guys, what's up? Misha from GGD here, and today I'm going to show you some tips and tricks that I use when recording guitars. So a couple things I like to do, well, one thing I really like to do is record a DI and record it in parallel with my regular guitar tone so I can edit it in parallel and have a DI that's edited and ready to go. Why would I do that? Well, because then I have a backup. That's a great safeguard. If I do that, then you can do what's called reamping, which is you take that DI, it's almost like you have the perfect take that you could just take out of your interface, plug into an interface, you can put a plug-in right on the track, but you have salvaged the take, which hopefully you like at that point. It's edited to be perfect, and you could just run it through whatever tone you like, and it's good to go. So I'm going to show you how I set that up, and I'm going to show you another little trick that I use for the actual recorded tone, which I think is super helpful. So starting off, you'll see that this is set up. I'm obviously using Cubase, by the way, so if you have Cubase, great. If not, I'm sure your DAW can be set up to run like this. Obviously, I'm limited to showing you how I have this set up in the DAW that I use. So right here, you'll see this is one guitar track. I'm actually using a demo that I wrote for another video, but this is the beginning. This is how it sounds. So you'll see we've basically just got drums, bass, and two guitars, right? So this track here, that's all you're hearing, but you've got these two tracks for every component, right? So you'll see guitar left, DI. The DI you cannot hear. I've set it up and I've routed it so it's off. You don't need to hear that. That's just our backup. But it's important that as our backup, that's easy to edit. So I've set it up so it's a group. Basically, if I just click one track, it selects both. You know, I can cut it up, do whatever, move it all around, and it edits both. And this is so that as I'm editing, as I'm cutting and everything, it's doing that to the DI. So the way I do that here is I create a folder, which I've called guitar left because this is just for the tracks that are for the left guitar right now. And then you hit this button, it's group editing, and that allows it to be edited in real time. It doesn't matter which track you hit, it will do both. The next thing I do is you'll see these links here. So let's take a look at guitar left. That's link 1. So this is something I have to do in Cubase. I don't know if in every DAW you have to do this, but this allows me to arm the recording at the same time. So I have it set selection, arm, record, enable monitor, arm both of those tracks. And you can have them link across whatever, but I just want these two tracks here, right? So now when I hit record, it just saves me an extra step and I don't forget to arm the DI track. What I have going here, routing wise, is I have my guitar going into this Radial J48, which I like. This is a good DI box, in my opinion. It's phantom powered, so that's nice. And this is just going XLR out to my interface. My guitar is going into the input here. Out of here, though, this is very handy. I've got a through. That's going out to my Axe effects, right? And the reason I chose the J48 is it's a very neutral. It doesn't really impart a sound on the guitar. Again, the goal for me with this is to make as if I was just recording the guitar again when I'm reamping. I don't want to color the sound or impart any sort of tonal characteristics on it. I want it to sound like it's coming right out of the guitar. I feel like that does a very good job there. This through then goes out to the Axe effects and sort of is why we have sound. We have one extra step, and I've added one extra step for my own benefit here because I could just go straight to the interface. What I'm actually doing here, I am going straight to the interface, but I'm disabling the cab. The reason I'm doing that is I'm going through this monitoring channel here, and we're using GGD Studio cabs, right? That's with nothing. Doesn't sound very good, right? So, the reason that I have this like this is when I'm recording, I'm actually capturing it without the cabs. And that gives me one added layer of flexibility. See, reamping is great as a safeguard, but it is kind of a pain. So if you really just want a little bit slight change of character and you don't want to have to reamp the whole thing, I basically save myself a step. And this is really handy. Like on P4, we did this. I recorded it like this, and I gave you know, the guitar tracks to Nolly without a cab. And then he could just do it on his end. We ended up using a very beta version of this plugin before it was out, because this only just recently came out. But that's something that we played around with until we got the guitar tone to be just right for that mix, because every mix is a little bit different. It was just one added layer of flexibility. So on each one of these tracks, I've got Zilla, the Studio Cab Zilla, each with its own setup. And because this is more of a rock mix, I kind of opted to do something a little bit different on each channel. Those two are the same. But then if we go here, you can see like gone for something a little bit wilder. And I can change these on the fly, which is great. Depending on the vibe and the mix and whatever, you can just change that. So that's one trick that I like to use to have a little bit more flexibility with the recorded material. So how do I have this routed? Because I'm monitoring in real time, if you can't tell, right? And I have a full mix going, full of plugins. Now this is a question that I get, so might as well answer it here. Normally that would introduce a lot in latency. That's absolutely correct. But as you can see, it's not good to record it. No problems with latency. And it recorded just fine. So what I do is I actually route this. Now this is routed a little bit more complicated because I'm routing this to Cubase's control room because I like to use SonarWorks, which is great. I don't want it to actually export it with this. So I'm jumping through a few extra hoops. All you really need to do is just set another channel to go to your monitors that isn't going through everything here. So this is going to its own bus called monitor, and everything else is going to my main 2 bus right here, the stereo out, that has everything on it. That way, what I'm playing right now is not interacting. Obviously, everything on the screen is, but I don't have latency. So that's how you could do it. If you have Cubase and you're curious how I have this routed, I'm using control room. As you can see, I have it disabled. This is for your guys' benefit on the monitors, because that's what you guys are hearing. I have it enabled on the headphones, because that's what I'm hearing. So output 1 and 2, 7 and 8. And then I have this set to 5 and 6, and I have it routed in my interfaces routing so that I can still hear that, and that's my way around it. That's a very advanced tip, but maybe some of you guys out there do use Cubase and do use SonarWorks and kind of wonder how this setup is working. Well, that's how it works. So there you go. That's basically my little tip for how you can get this going. One cool thing that we can play around with is, you know what? Before we leave, let's just play around with this a little bit. Change up some paths. So this is kind of a metal setup here, right? How about we do something a bit simpler? Let's go for 112s across the board, huh? That'll be ported, and we'll do Fat Baby. And let's go off axis for both for real. It actually sounds a lot more appropriate for this vibe. It's like more rock and roll, right? That's pretty sick. I like that. Actually, an improvement. And if ever I want to reamp this, I have my DIs ready to go here. One little tip there, if ever you do that, you can, again, this is a Cubase tip, but you could just do Command and click there under volume, and it'll kind of zero everything out there for you if you've been clip gaining stuff like I tend to do. But yeah, those are all my little tips and tricks. I hope that this was informative. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Catch you guys next time.